Then in 1989, Ghostbusters 2 hit the screens, with our heroes facing off against evil spirit Vigo, and slime that was vile, putrid, and disgusting. I mean innocent, misguided slime. Slime that was left on the streets to fend for itself. Slime that did the right thing when the chips were down. Slime that likes to hang out and play video games. And with the return of the Ghostbusters came the return of Janine, which meant that good God. What the hell happened? You changed again? Oh well, I'm sure nothing else has changed. Oh, that's right. In this movie, Janine has apparently forgotten all about Egon and now has the hots for Rick Moranis' character, Louis Tully. You all remember Louis, right?
No, go past this part. In fact, never play this again.
After being the Ghostbusters' inept attorney, Louis then became their accountant and certified spazlet. But apparently he's still part-time keymaster.
Needle.
I guess Janine just couldn't resist the raw sexuality that is Moranis.
I used to have a roommate, but my mom moved to Florida.
Okay, now I've learned my lesson. The movies can be totally different from the cartoons. That doesn't mean... Again? Okay, so now Louis is in the cartoon, and look, cartoon Janine has got the same haircut as live-action Janine. What, does she like Tully now? This confused the crap out of me when I first saw it. Oh, whatever. The series was coming to a close, and we wouldn't see Janine or the Ghostbusters ever again. What's this? No, it can't be. That's right, bitches, it's the Extreme Ghostbusters, a new set of diverse, multicultural, youth-appealing, handy-capable, ectoplasmic ass-kickers. You know they're extreme because they grab handles, turn knobs, go to the max, and twist nuts.
They're in my pants!
Okay, it wasn't as bad as you think. Yeah, that's Maurice LaMarche, veteran voice actor, reprising his role as Egon. And Janine, who is now played by Pat Music, is back as well.
Glad to be back.
The ghost designs for this series were pretty cool, taking the classic feel and adding a crisp, updated style. And we get to see some old favorites. That Samhain, the spirit of Halloween, tripping acid in the opening, although I never seen him in the actual show. And holy shit, the Grundle. That's one creepy bastard. Of course he'd be scary about the Toon Disney logo. Looks like an executive took a dump in the corner. And look here, Fox Kids, Fox Family, Jetix, Sci-Fi. And here I thought the live-action Janine was the whore.
That's hardly a fair label.
Even the new Ghostbusters weren't so bad. That's Jason Marsden as Garrett, and a goth girl in football pads and bike shorts is just the funniest damn thing I've ever seen. And here's a little tidbit. Did you know that Garrett is the only Ghostbuster to never receive an action figure? Weird, huh? Did they not want to splurge on the plastic for his wheelchair? Janine wasn't an official Ghostbuster and she had 4 action figures, including one with a removable skirt that showed off her plastic panties.
I'm warning you guys, I'm getting mad.
Speaking of which, Janine is looking pretty hot considering she's 10 years older.
I've looked worse.
Somebody called the zoo. I think a cougar's on the loose. But one of the 2 middle fingers to the fans is the fact that the equipment looks nothing like the original proton packs. I can see the pressure to update with this series, but what could be more extreme than an unlicensed nuclear accelerator on your back? But the worst violation by far is the new Ghost Trap, which I have labeled the Bland Mine. Looks like something out of the crappy NES game. Where are the loose wires? Where are the protruding components? The things that say, yeah, I made this shit in my garage, but I'll still fuck you up the ass. The other problem is the relationship between Janine and Egon, which is to say that there is none. They ignored all the events before this, and they basically started over again with Janine chasing Egon, who now seems senile. If you wanted to do the dance again, why didn't you just relaunch the series like everyone else had the good mind to do? What, were you afraid to become addicted like Transformers? Forgive me, oh Lord, it was but a joke. There's even an episode that mimics Janine You've Changed, except with Janine turning into a bug girl. Egon confesses his love again, and Janine turns on the offending ghost again. Women, you gotta tell them you love them every 10 years as they start to get insecure. Overall, the whole thing was incredibly stupid. Except the bug girl thing, that was kinda hot.
Oh, you. It's always the quiet ones. You hound.
In the end, the show only lasted 2 seasons, and at the rate it was going, I bet Janine was glad to be out of there.
See ya.
The next time we see Janine, it was in the Ghostbusters comic book printed by 88 Miles Per Hour Publishing. The story arc was called Legion, and in it we see... What the... They're glorious! Oh, thank you, Demon Fairy. Thank you ever so. Ah, they're just water balloons. You see, this comic takes place right after they save New York from Gozer. And that's right, Janine is chasing Egon yet again, using all sorts of wacky, hyper-effeminate methods. Oh, look at that, pigtails. Oh yeah, and there's something about there being a 5th Ghostbuster and an army of ghosts. I don't know, it's all very minor. I think they used it to fill space. And hey look, they included Dana Barrett in this.
My Dana Barrett?
The artwork is good, nice use of shadows and perspectives, interesting designs with the ghosts, and the lighting effects are superb. Plus Slimer is actually scary in this. The story is okay, but there are some lines of dialogues that are just begging for the Linkara treatment. Legion apparently launched a regular series with 88, but I'm afraid I haven't followed it too much. There's also a new Ghostbusters manga called Ghostbusted. It's a one-shot by Tokyo Pop and composed of short stories by different artists. The art ranges from interestingly crafted to humorous chicken scratch, but overall it's pretty good if you're into that sort of thing. It has 5 stories, each tied together by a subplot that becomes the main conflict of the book. And remember how Winston was never in most of the video games? Well, they make it up to him by giving him a fucking machine gun. Yeah! The only complaint is that most of the ghosts look human. I don't mind that, but there should be some monsters in there too. Now that I think about it, all the ghosts in the 88 series were all worms and blobs and stuff. That's what I think I like about the movies. They seem to be the only incarnation of Ghostbusters with equal parts creatures and just plain dead people. You know what I mean? Anyway, back to Janine. She doesn't really do anything memorable. She just provides exposition for the Ghostbusters. But she's still super kawaii. Dude and Suede, am I saying that right? No! Yeah, that's what I thought. The only other thing I can think about is the new Ghostbusters game. Aside from the Genesis version, the franchise has been synonymous with horrible games. And when the latest Ghostbusters game was said to be in development, I really didn't care either way. Then when I saw this image floating around on the internet, it shattered what little enthusiasm I had. It was okay, but it wasn't what the fans had been waiting for. And I fear that we will never get it.
That's your cue.
Good Gozer, now that's what I'm talking about. It turns out that this version will be coming out on the Wii and PlayStation 2. So why is the Wii so great again? Anyway, this is what the PS3 and 360s get. It may still suck, but at least it looks like they're trying. You get to use all the equipment, and it's run off a brand new program called Inferno. Inferno, like Ghostbusters in Hell. Ah, I love that new physics engine smell. Aside from being written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, the game also features most of the voices from the original cast, including Ann Potts, which means that this will be the first video game to feature Janine since... well, never. Well, the Extreme Ghostbusters for the Game Boy Color had Janine in it, but I don't really count that game because it was only released in Europe. The only person they couldn't get for the new game was Rick Moranis, which is weird behavior from a guy who once said,
I'm walking around here saying, let's do a series, you know, Thursday nights at 9:30, Ghostbusters.
From the movies to the TV to years later, the Ghostbusters have had their rough patches, but have always been awesome. And Janine has been there right with them. She was hardworking, quirky, and surprisingly sexy. And at a time when only the absurdly rich and beautiful could fall in love on Saturday morning, the Ghostbusters gave us this little story between two social misfits. Currently, I think Janine is popular among fans in the original cartoon series. Not that there are any pictures of Nostalgia Chick dressed as Janine that one year in college for Halloween floating around on the internet or anything.